Two Nation Foods races. It means you're doing something right going to the later rounds. And I said in Gainesville, as long as we keep making those events, that's going to be key at the end of the year, getting those extra points. And anytime you can turn on win lights on Saturday and Sunday, that's good for our DHL team. So that's the plan going into 2024.
So for Sean Langdon, he's getting a lot of those big points for those race wins, coming off another one, 2 out of 3. And a team that struggled last year has had a massive turnaround. What happened and how did that turnaround come about?
I mean, obviously, just a lot of changes in the offseason. Connie Coletta and Chad Head got together and made some changes, brought Brian over. And Brian has got these group of guys who made some changes there and rallied them together. And, I mean, the results are there. Brian and the whole crew's done a fantastic job. Give me a great race car. I'm doing the same job I have been. I've been hitting the gas and holding the thing straight, but it's just testament to the hard work they put in the off season, and for everybody at Coletta Air and Toyota, it's just good to have results for the sponsors.
Erica Anders has won multiple championships, but last week in Phoenix you won the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Talk to me about how much that means to you to win those as well.
It's really awesome to compete in a specialty race within a race. It kind of gets you up on the wheel earlier than Sunday. And last year we started off our season not so great, so I wasn't able to compete in as many Too Fast, Too Tasty challenges. So my goal this year is to kind of try to get my footing back in those challenges. And we started off really well in Phoenix. So I'm looking forward to a great year. A little bit of struggle going on here in Vegas, but tomorrow's a new day.
That was the attitude that carried them to the 6th World Championship last season. Now we take a look. Moments ago, we saw Schumacher, Milliken, and Hart lining up here in qualifying session 3. They didn't qualify for the Too Fast, Too Tasty, but Tony Schumacher qualified himself for the time being number 1.
A cylinder off for Clay Milliken in that number 3 lane, but for Tony Schumacher, and I do believe that these positions are going to be even more critical for the drivers as they want lane choice. Of course, the tuner always wants to place the car where the best grip is. For the driver, they don't want to be stuck in that number 2 or 3 lane.
We get a look at the 8 drivers with a Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Langdon, Brown, Torrance, and Reed on one side. Ashley, Coletta, Stewart, and Torrance on the other. A family affair for Billy and Steve. We take a look now at the first grouping on the racetrack. Antron Brown, who so far his best finish of the season, a semi-final run in Gainesville, a first-round finish in Pomona, and a second-round finish in Phoenix, Arizona. Sean Langdon, 2 wins in 3 races and a second-round loss in Pomona have marked his season so far. Sean Reed making his return to full-time Top Fuel drag racing, and it is a great season and a great development year for this guy right now. The car is competitive right out of the gate. And the 4-time world champion, Steve Torrance, currently 3rd in the points with a pair of semifinal finishes on the 2024 season so far. As the Capco Contractors car makes its way back, he's good, but Jordan Vandergrift, Sean Langdon has been better.
Yeah, Brian, talk about a great start to this season. Sean Langdon has had the best start of anybody in Top Fuel. He's won the first 2 out of the first 3 races. And when I talked to him, he said he feels amazing with the car. It is responding to everything the team is throwing at it. Brian Houston has a great control on this race car. So we will see if they can have 2 great runs today and carry it into tomorrow race day.
Yeah, coming into this heat race, the 2 best cars based on yesterday's qualifying are in that number 1 and 2 lane. That's Steve Torrance, Antron Brown.
In the 4 cars, lane 1 smokes the tires. Torrance is done for, and who is moving on to the next round? That will be Antron Brown and Sean Langdon. Of course, Langdon advances, but Antron Brown was the quickest of this group. Brown finishes the run in that number 1 spot on the Matco Top Fuel Dragster.
This is exactly how Sean Langdon slithers his way into those late rounds. You can see Steve Torrance accelerating good, counters tire smoke, but check out the number 2 and 3 lanes. It's Antron to the finish line first with the cylinder out. It's Sean Langdon in that number 3 lane advancing.
So our next grouping on the starting line will show us Justin Ashley, who in the last 2 races has been a winner and a runner-up. He is driving, of course, the Skag Power Equipment Top Fuel Dragster. Doug Coletta has been an absolute measure in consistency. 3 second-round finishes this year. He's looking to break that habit here this weekend. For Tony Stewart, it was a nice couple of rounds of win lights for him in Phoenix, Arizona. Still looking for consistency in this race car. And Billy Torrance, in his first full-time season of Top Fuel drag racing, sits 4th in the points. His best finisher runner-up in Gainesville, Florida. All right, Swami.
It's going to be interesting to see how Billy Torrance adjusts to this lane. He's in lane number 4. We saw his son, his teammate, get the tires loose in that first lane. they have these cars set up in a similar way.
Misfiring cylinder for Tony Stewart, or rather for lane number 3, which means it will be Doug Coletta, 373.98, going to the number 1 spot. Following him through was Tony Stewart, and he does it on a hole shot. 3.807 gets him to the finish line ahead of a 3.803 for Billy Torrance.
Yeah, it was a little late off the starting line for Billy Torrance. Almost identical times, but a couple of thousand slower for Tony Stewart, and he's just got it going on. You can see all the cars, even Tony Stewart car was mixing the cylinders up at the end of the track, but Doug Coletta, this is the Doug Coletta that brings home the championship. And you could see how close it was with 2 cars running nearly identical elapsed times, one driver being quicker off the jump.
So Tony Stewart will move himself into the final quad of the Mission 2 Fast 2 Tasty Challenge, and he'll be in it with Antron Brown, who's with Bruno.
So, AB, you got won that quad. You had a great reaction time, moved up to the top half of the field, but the rubber band was in pieces when you came through. How much did that affect your performance?
It's hurt on the big end. The track is definitely good early, and we felt the car was just going right down the racetrack. So we'll pick it up for this final. We're going to need to. We saw the track is definitely coming around even though the sun's out on it. So, you can run a mid-70 on it, so I guarantee this is what everybody's going to be shooting for in this final. And, man, you look at all the people in this final, this is going to be a battle royal, brother. And we got to get after it, man. And we got to come with our guns blazing, baby.
So let's take a look at our qualifying order after 3 sessions. Antron Brown and his Lucas Oil Matco Tools top fueler is the number 6 qualifier. Doug Coletta, on the strength of the run you just saw, goes to number 1. Tony Schumacher, number 2. Pretty Force, number 3. And Terry Totten, currently the 15th qualifier. We have not yet seen one of the top fuel dragsters make a run this weekend. John Force, he's been making runs, and he will be when we come back.
Your yard is your sanctuary, where you should feel free.
I know.
Was talking about the dogs. They need their lawn back fast. And you need Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass. It's a revolutionary mix of seed and fertilizer that grows grass 2 times faster than just seed alone. Giving you a stronger lawn. Release the hounds. Smell that freedom, eh?
I smell it.
I'm still talking to the dogs.
Get Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass today. It's guaranteed.
Feed it, lawn. Feed it.
All new Subway wraps are packed with delicious ingredients and a pillowy lavash wrap. Finally, a refreshing lunch that tastes amazing.
Perfect for pro athletes like me, right?
Can I finish? Buy 1 wrap, get 50% off in the Subway app today.
It's that time of year again. When the boys in blue don't move, get a much earned
You should be more nice.
break. Cops Spring Break. New episode Friday on Fox Nation.
We believe in the 2-minute drill and goal line stands. We believe in beer snakes, the giddy up, and whatever this guy's doing. We believe in speed and power, and that nothing is more dangerous than a man with a dream. We believe in football. United Football League. Saturday at 7 Eastern on Fox.
I'm tired of overpaying for a close shave.
Harry's, I don't have to. Harry's offers 5-blade closeness and comfort.
And refills cost as low as $2 each. Half of what I paid before. Go to harrys.com/TV to claim your $5 trial.
I got this $1,000 camera for only $41 on DealDash.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56. I got this barbecue smoker for $26.
And shipping is always free.
Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
I just hurt my neck because I fell out of my chair because my boss just told me that our new starter pack just dropped. A solid stick of deodorant in the scent of your choice. A cream tube of deodorant in the scent of your choice. Plus 2 free items plus free shipping.
Get ready to race down the track with Mission Foods. It's a green light for the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series, packed with fast action and tasty products. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy-to-make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.
The The NHRA 4-Wide Nationals is sponsored by Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty. And by Denso. The best part is peace of mind. A shot from the Hoover Dam, one of the great places to visit here in the greater Las Vegas area. It is a civil engineering wonder of the world. If you've never seen it in person, its scope and its size is unbelievable. That is the Pat Tillman Memorial Bridge you see in that shot as well. The Mission Foods autograph session was a logjam of NHRA fans this morning. And because of the fact we have so many competitors in this Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge today, the list of drivers virtually endless. The autographs were flowing out there, and the fans were getting that great firsthand experience and interaction with their favorite drivers. Let's look at the second session of qualifying. And a young man who made big headlines in Phoenix, Austin Prock, tried very hard to grab the #1 spot.
And the conditions here were actually worse. The density altitude had crept up, the temperature had crept up, but the team's better adjusted. In particular, Austin Prock in that #2 lane.
That 394 was second best of the entire race. The Cornwall Quality Tool Chevrolet Camaro looked good, but Bob Tasker III, after jokingly giving his crew chiefs an edict not to run the car any faster than 395 to overcome the tire smoke they've had in the first couple races, well, he was disappointed and elated at the same time. They broke the rules, but he went to #1.
Don't be so concerned with the smoke at the end of the track. That's just an oiler that goes through the supercharger. But for Taska, as well as his team, they now have the consistency. You can see on the far bank of the car, it looks like it was burning a valve. Did not affect the performance at all.
We sent Cub reporter Jordan Vandegrift down to talk to Bob Taska.
Bob Taska was the low of both qualifying sessions yesterday. And Bob, when I spoke with Aaron Brooks before Q2 last night, he told me that he had a 92 in the car. You ended up running a 93. What is it about this team that could call it shots like that?
We actually just wanted to go slow yesterday. Honestly, we just wanted to make some solid laps down a hot racetrack, and that's exactly what we did. I told him, I said, listen, don't go faster than 395. Let's just go down the racetrack. And on that last run, when Prock ran the 94, he looked at me and goes, I'm going to break out. And that's what they wanted to run. They wanted to run like 92, 93. Today will be a little bit better, and we'll be able to go a little quicker.
He still maintains that #1 position with that 393 run. Now, the next quad we see will be part of the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. This is the disgruntled guys from Phoenix Challenge because Taska, Caps, and Hagen didn't run well enough to get there. Steve Densham, on the other hand, is having a great weekend, currently qualified 8th.
Yeah, look at the stock. I looked in the Kelly Blue Book. The car actually went up in value. That orange car in that #4 lane is for sale.
And Bob Tasker III runs down a 393.9, replicating his performance yesterday. Best of the quad by a bunch. 398 for Caps, 397 and a 407. So Bob Tasker III stretching his legs again.
Well, they're looking for consistency. They have exactly that. That's really the number everyone's going to shoot for from this stage on. But you can see Ron Capps right alongside of him in that #3 lane. Even Gary Densham. This is 2 for 2 for that orange car. But this is the quickest run of that heat race.
The BG colors for Tasker. Quick question for you, Tony. When you regain command of your race car, now you can command it to go 93s. How quickly can you command it to go and maintain that consistency?
Well, they're going to look at the track temperature later, and I'm sure now they're 3 for 3. I don't think there's any reason they couldn't look to get a little more aggressive, and it all depends on what the competition does coming up in this Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge.
Speaking of that, great segue, we go to the Tasty 8 and Funny car. Prock, Wilkerson, Todd, and Force on one side, DeJoria, Pedregon, Alexander, and Lee on the other. So now let's take a look at our first quad. Of course, John Force, the winner of the NHRA Winter Nationals in 2024. Austin Prock, the winner of the Arizona Nationals, and that historic weekend for him, picking up his first funny car victory. For Jared Todd, a worse finish of the season as a semifinal. He's done that twice. Of course, he won the Gator Nationals to kick things off. And Dan Wilkerson picked up his first round win of the season just 1 week ago in Phoenix. Jordan Vandegrift, what do you have in the always high-energy Dan Wilkerson?
Well, I spoke with the high-energy Tim Wilkerson before the run, and he told me being in the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge is great for the team. The extra money would mean a lot, but he has not forgotten there's a race tomorrow, so he wants the money and the good qualifying position going into race day.
Both things are mutually important to each other. For Dan Wilkerson, this is a great opportunity for him to get that race day acclimation that he's going to need to have first round.
Yeah, and I think really the drivers are in a different place than the tuners are. The tuners are racing the track they still want to yield a good qualifying position if they can, if the track conditions will hold it. The drivers right now are on race mode. They're looking at the lineup here and who they're up against, and J.R. Todd and Austin Prock and John Force. Those are the guys to beat right now, so they're on full-on race mode.
John Force was the last guy to leave, and the first two guys across the finish line stripe, we can see it is going to be Dan Wilkerson and Austin Prock, a 53 to 73 light. Wilkerson's run a 394.3, but look at Austin Prock, a 390, and now the #1 qualifier.
Well, look, we were looking at the launch, and the camera angle we were looking at, you could clearly see that Austin Prock had the quickest reflex off the starting line. He had the best car, but the race for second was really between J.R. Todd and in that #4 lane. You could see it might be a little damage under the body there, that Chevy body for Austin Prock. Nothing bad, no concussion, no explosion, but a little flame inside that and underneath that body. Take a look at Dan Wilkerson. He was in that #4 lane, kind of flying under the radar, outperforming J.R. Todd for that second position.
A very nice run there for Dan Wilkerson, his first ever Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge final round. We can see it was about a half of a Mustang length ahead of the GR Super, with John Force trailing in that #4 spot. We now move to our second quad. Blake Alexander here, the Pronto Auto Service Center head contractors Ford Mustang, did a fine job of himself to make a semifinal. Alexis DeJoria raced into the last qualifying session in Phoenix, also making a nice run into the later rounds. For Paul Lee, he seemed to have the car to beat in Phoenix until a throttle cable problem sidelined him. And Cruz Pedregon is the fast loser from the first round, will come into this quad with Roy Orbison vibes.
Look, those Roy Orbison vibes right now, we're all thinking the same thing. Every one of these drivers saw exactly what happened in front of them.
Yes.
I don't think there's any concern about the racetrack. They're going to hope that their tuner hits their mark, but they just saw in front of them how the outcome of a whole shot win.
Yeah.
Rather, it wasn't a whole shot win, but they just saw in that #4 lane, it was Dan Wilkerson track down J.R. Todd. So I think they realized that, look, these races could be close. Every one of them want to try to get off that starting line first.
Paul Lee is a very good leaver when he has high confidence in his race car. He was on the NHRA Insider podcast this week, talked about his team, talked about Johnny Lindbergh, John Medlin, and how he is having the best season so far he has ever had in Nitro Funny Car Drag Racing. Blake Alexander was flickering the ball down there, and as they get to the finish line stripe, that is a tight grouping. Advancing will be Lee and Alexander. A 397.5 for Alexander, a 394.7 for Lee. Then it's a 99 and a 96. So the winner via whole shot goes to Blake Alexander.
Yeah, all three. Really, this is the way this should really play out. Every car going down the racetrack was sub 4 seconds. It was just Paul Lee had the quickest car get beat on a whole shot. But you could see that Cruz and Lexus were right alongside of the other two cars in that #3 and 4 lane. This was as close as it gets. Every driver is going to go back and see how they performed on the starting line. If they only had another shot. The problem with this sport is you only get that one shot.
That is amazing. That is how this 4-wide format is supposed to look every time down the racetrack. For Blake Alexander, this is one of the rare times we have ever seen a double hole shot Nitro Funny Car. We've seen the triple hole shot twice in Pro Stock, but it's a rare day, and you can see Alexis DeJoria as well as Paul Lee trailing raw fuel. So Blake Alexander will advance along with Paul Lee into the final round of the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge in Funny Car. But Austin Prock stole the #1 spot, followed by Tasca, Force, Wilkerson, Lee, DeJoria, Alexander, and Hagan in the front half. Jeff Deal is clinging to the bump spot by the skin of his teeth at 4:11.7. Final qualifying a little bit later on will be very exciting with those unqualified cars. Let's ride along with Austin Prock and the Cornwall Quality Tools on board. You're watching NHRA qualifying 4-wide on FS1.
Yeah, honey, I don't know what to tell you. Can you please just stall them or something? Tell a joke. I'll be there soon. Yeah.
Time out for Sunoco Go Rewards?
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save.
Ma'am, that's a beautiful dress.
Oh my gosh, so pretty.
Thank you. Nice lace there, too.
Thank you.
What is that? Ladies' undergarments?
Yeah.
Huh.
So drop what you're doing, because rewards come first.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Looking for what comes next? For that moment when everything finally...
1 minute!
Whichever path you choose, it starts here.
I hate to report a missing person.
The governor just declared a state of emergency.
Now what? This is my job.
You have no idea what you're walking into.
Alert MPU. All new Tuesday at 9/8 Central on Fox.
Betts and Ohtani lead the Dodgers against Alonso and the Mets. Saturday at 3 Eastern on FS1.
I have moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Now there's Skyrizi.
Things are looking up. I've got symptom relief. Control of my Crohn's means everything to me. Control is everything to me.
Feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks with Skyrizi, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements. Skyrizi is the first IL-23 inhibitor that can deliver remission and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. And the majority of people experienced long-lasting remission at 1 year.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to. Liver problems may occur in Crohn's disease.
Now's the time to ask your gastroenterologist how you can take control of your Crohn's with Skyrizi.
Control is everything to me.
Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Eric Anders was the winner of the Mission 2 Fast, 2 Tasty Challenge just 1 week ago in Phoenix, Arizona. That was a 2-wide program, and now we are getting ready to run that on the 4-wide. But first, we have a quad of cars on the starting line. Sienna Wildgust, Eric Latino, Fernando Quadra Jr., and David Quadra. We look at these 4 drivers. They are qualified comfortably, but this is a faster day, Tony. They all need to find some more performance.
Everything about today is better. 10 degrees cooler. That's the temperature. 15 degrees cooler on the racetrack. So don't be surprised if we see some considerably quicker times than what we saw yesterday.
Lane 1 is Wild Gus, the rookie pro stock driver, part of the KB Titan team. That's the E3 Spark Plugs lane. Then there's Eric Latino, one of the principals of that team. Toyota lane, Mission Foods lane for Fernando Quadra Jr., and the Lucas Oil lane for David Quadra. Sienna's car had trouble in the burnout box, and it didn't get any better on the starting line. Fernando Quadra Jr. will be the quickest of this grouping, 6:62.7. Wow, that is a big jump. Out-qualifying Eric Latino, who runs a 6:63.4. David Quadra runs a 6:63.6. This was a big run here because Jay Coughlin was number 1 at 6:64. He's been bumped to 4th.
And Coughlin will get another chance to try to get that number 1 spot back. But this is the air. These are the cooler conditions that we're seeing. Tomorrow, even better.
Sienna Wildgust maintains that number 13 spot on her 6:69 for qualifying on Friday. Our Mission 2 Fast, 2 Tasty Challenge. It will be 2 rounds, 4 wide here this afternoon. Our 8 participants in this week's Mission 2 Fast, 2 Tasty Challenge in Pro Stock. We see Anderson, Coughlin, and Tucker on one side, Glenn Quadra, Stanfield, and Enders on the other. We take a look now at our first quad of cars. Eric Enders has begun this 2024 title defense strongly, a winner or runner-up in a second round finish in Phoenix. For Aaron Stanfield, he's been able to fight his way to a semifinal finish in Phoenix, allowing him to be participating today. Dallas Glenn, the winner in Pomona, the runner-up in Phoenix, playing one of the hottest hands in the entire category. And finally, for Christian Quadra, he is a guy who DNQ'd earlier in the season at the Pomona race, but he bounced back to a second round finish in Phoenix. we come out to the starting line. Tony, there was some lane swapping going on before this. We have seen some qualifying quads run earlier, so at least one of the teams decided they wanted to be in a different lane.
Yeah, and more than likely it was something that they saw on the surface. There are the lanes 2 and 3 that present a slighter, much more of a challenge for the driver because they have to look across the staging beam. But it's more than likely something that the tuners saw on the racetrack that they wanted to reposition their car in a different lane.
Racetrack just shy of 120 degrees on a beautiful Saturday here in Vegas. We will take 2 to the final round of this Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Unsurprisingly, Dallas Glenn is off first. Surprisingly, Eric Anders will finish dead last in this quad. 663.6 for Glenn, a 664 for Stanfield. They will go on to the final. But boy, oh boy, trouble continues for Eric Anders, who's sitting 13th and not improving.
Yeah, and it's odd that they've had so much success here. But as anything else, the cars, the conditions, the atmospheric conditions, the track surface, everything changes. You had a heat race full of gunslingers in this matchup here. And it looks like Christian and Dallas Glenn coming out in top in that number 1 lane and the number 4 lane.
We watched them get down the center of the racetrack here. No real movement, showing good traction, good capability there for all the cars. But for Dallas Glenn, 63.6 places himself in the number 3 position. And that is a nice place to be going into what will be the final round of the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. The second quad in this group, we start with Jake Coughlin Jr., who was a man that qualified number 1 in Phoenix and then raced his way to a semifinal finish in the Skag Power Equipment Chevrolet Camaro as part of Elite Motorsports. Jerry Don Tucker, in his second season of Pro Stock competition, continues to impress with his ability to lead the starting line with even the best in the category. Greg Anderson, you can't deny this guy. He won the Phoenix race just 1 week ago, and we talked to him this morning as part of the NHRA Insider Live, and he is fired up for the performance that he has had so far. And for Troy Coughlin Jr., he continues to be a force in a category. Every time he goes down the racetrack, he finished in the second round in Phoenix. We know the 4 drivers. Now we will see how they perform. Our Pep Boys drone looking down at the Skittles-colored Pro Stock grouping we have out here. Jerry Don Tucker, lane 1. Troy Coughlin Jr. 2, Greg Anderson 3, and Jay Coughlin in lane number 4. We have seen some interesting things happen so far in this session. We'll find out if everybody can get a hold of the first 60 feet of the racetrack. That overhead view showed Greg Anderson going red against this group of competitors. He's eliminated. And at the finish line, oh man, Jerry Don Tucker loses this one on a hole shot. It is Coughlin and Coughlin moving ahead. Tucker goes to the number 1 qualifying position, but will not make the final of Too Fast, Too Tasty.
And right here in front of us, this is the challenge of 4 wide. Even Greg Anderson makes a very competitive run, just pulls the trigger, disqualifies himself instantly. But take a look in that number 1 and 2 lane. You can see Jerry Tucker pulling ahead of Coughlin there, but it was Coughlin with the top end charge driving around him because he had a quicker reaction time.
So we get one more look at it from this all-in view. It is Jaggy there on the left-hand side of the racetrack, and Troy, his nephew, in the center of the racetrack that will advance on. Jerry Don Tucker at least gets to claim that number 1 spot, but this is what it looked like as they all charged to the stripe at 200 miles an hour. So now let's take a look at our qualifying order after 3 sessions. Jerry Don Tucker 1, Coughlin 2, Fernando 3, Latino 4, Anderson, Quadra, and Glenn make up the front half of the front half. Chris McGahey, the anchor spot right now at 671.5. Let's catch up with Dallas Glenn, who won the first quad.
Good way to start the day if you're Dallas Glenn. He goes 663, wins this quad, advances to the final of the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. When you come out here and race on Saturday, do you have the racing mindset or the qualifying mindset?
I definitely had racing mindset on that one. You know, you got to be able to go up there on Sunday and do the exact same thing that you were doing today. So, you know, you got to be able to put up good numbers in qualifying, and to be able to do that on Sunday, you got to be ready for it. So, but you know, it was a good win for Rad Torque Systems, and we got Dan Provost in-house, and can't wait to try it again here in front of Ken and Judy tomorrow. And let's hope we can have a good day and see if Greg can get in the final with us.
And then that. When we come back, it'll be time for Top Fuel qualifying session 4. Clay Milligan rolling out of the pit area, our Denso pit cam showing all the action. When we come back, it's the Top Fuel cars in Vegas.
Hi, you might know me from my other job, but I'm a business owner too. Here at Once Upon a Farm, we chose the Capital One Venture X business card. With no preset spending limit, our purchasing power adapts to meet our business needs. Love it. And unlimited double miles means we earn more too. Sweet, right? And when we travel, we get access to over 1,300 airport lounges. I could get used to this. The Capital One Venture X business card. What's in your wallet?
Only Electrolux has Smart Boost technology for the most effective stain removal and longer-lasting fabrics.
Electrolux Laundry. Save up to $800 at Electrolux and participating retailers.
Get one free Arby's sandwich every week in April, online only. It's never been easier to try Arby's, and for Arby's to say, welcome to Arby's. Arby's, we have the meats.
Time. It's the only thing that matters on this track. And it's the only thing that matters in this field. If you're not making the most of every second out here, consider yourself second place. That's why I run Fendt, with a full lineup of industry-leading machines that maximize my efficiency. If every day is a race against the clock, I have yet to lose.
If you're like I was, you're tired of worn-out plastic mats under your office chair. They dent and crack, and they're uncomfortable to roll on. I found a premium alternative, a glass chair mat by Vitraza. I liked it so much, I bought the company. I'm George Pardo, president of Vitraza. Our glass chair mats are made of super strong glass and protected with a nanotech coating, so you'll always get a smooth, easy glide. And they're beautiful. Tired of replacing plastic? I promise this is the last chair mat you'll need. And we give you a lifetime warranty. Comfort, style, durability. A Vitraza glass chair mat will completely transform your workspace. Home office or office. We stock 18 popular sizes, and we ship free to anywhere in the lower 48. Get the look you deserve. I invite you to shop online at Vitraza.com. Use promo code TV and save 10% on any glass chair mat at Vitraza.com.
Jasmine Salinas is climbing into her Scrappers Racing Top Fuel dragster at these NHRA 4-wide Nationals here at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Fourth race of the year in the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series. Coming up tonight, you will see the elimination rounds of this event at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Tune in right here on FS1 to catch it all. Find out how the likes of Tony Stewart, John Force, and the rest of the crew does. Right now, we're going to find out what Clay Milliken can do. Milliken currently qualified in the middle of the pack. The Summit Racing equipment on board. He went to the number 8 position with a 382, and that is Justin Ashley. Terry Totten in the Alpco Dragster in lane, would have been in lane 1 if he'd come up. They go down to the finish line, a 377 for Clay Milliken. Justin Ashley goes 380 flat. Milliken goes to the number 3 spot. Ashley number 5. And so the next group, a triumvirate of 3 dragsters, Sean Reed, Billy Torrance, and Josh Hart. Hart currently qualified number 10. Billy Torrance sits in the number 7 spot. And for Sean Reed, he currently sits 12. And Sean Reed looking pretty good early on this run. Reed goes a 379. Torrance goes a 378, and Josh Hart a 382. So for Hart, pretty decent back-to-back runs here for a team that's been mightily struggling. But for Sean Reed, he moves up to number 5.
Well, just in the first couple of heat races here, this really gives us an idea that there's going to be a lot of shuffling, not just in the middle of the field, but near the top of the field. It's a close-up of Josh Hart here, and this is a good sign for them. You can see car lose a cylinder right at the finish line, but this is one of the cleanest runs that we've seen from this car in several races.
If they can continue this momentum, they could give somebody some fits here in the first round. And remember, in 4-wide drag racing, as long as you finish second in your heat, you will advance on to the next round. Sean Langdon is part of the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge at Top Fuel. He's preparing, and when we come back, you will see that run. Who will get paid and who will get the points? We're about to find out.
Introducing the new Suzuki GSX 8S. Sleek and stylish, the 8S is putting the streets on notice. Its compact 776cc parallel twin engine with cross balancer, combined with the Suzuki Intelligent Ride System technology and daring Street Fighter design, give you the confidence to let your riding do the talking.
The best teams win. On the track and in the shop. Join the Gerber Collision and Glass team to start winning today. Every crash, crunch, and smash lets you earn while you learn. We provide the tools and training to help you get paid for what you're good at. Solving, hustling, fixing, and the art of repairing someone's ride and making their day. The best part? We have openings right now. Fast track your future. Scan the code or visit GerberCareers.com. Gerber Collision and Glass, proud sponsor of the NHRA.
A new arrival alarms the brotherhood of muscle. Muscular features signal power and performance. Attributes they've never seen in this build. Behold, a new breed. Ready to swarm. Ready to sting. Ready to electrify. The defiant, power-packed, all-new hybrid electric Dodge Hornet RT. Performance electrified.
When you order from Domino's, you can get more than just pizza. You can get specialty chicken, savory pastas, oven-baked Parmesan bread bites, molten lava crunch cakes, and medium 2-topping pizzas as well. We didn't stop at pizza, and you don't have to either.
If you feel like things don't add up right now, you're not alone. So we've lowered the price on hundreds of your favorite products. Because when the cost of living goes up, we find new ways to go low. It's why we're here. That's a promise, not a promo.
File 100% free with TurboTax Free Edition. Roughly 37% of taxpayers qualify. Form 1040 and limited credits only. See how at turbotax.com. That's me!
Find your ultimate playground at visitcalifornia.com.
What's the greatest invention of all time? New hands-free Skechers slip-ins. You just slip in and they're on. It's like they have an invisible built-in shoe horn so your foot slides into place without bending down or touching your shoes. Then the heel pillow technology keeps your foot comfy and secure. Hands-free Skechers slip-ins.
IHOP?
IHOP?
IHOP. IHOP's Pancake of the Month is here. Loyalty members earn bonus pan coins when they try them all.
The Sharpie game was strong this morning at the Mission Foods display down in the pits between the interactive exhibits, the autograph sessions, and the generalized fun of munching on some chips and other products they have on display. The Mission Foods display at every NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series event is a hub of fun activity. It certainly was buzzing today. We now head back to the starting line. For the next group of Top Fuel dragsters, it is Steve Torrence in lane 4, Jasmine Salinas lane 3, Brittany Forrest lane 2, and Tony Schumacher lane 1. Schumacher is trying to regain the #1 spot stolen from him by Doug Coletta. Jasmine Salinas' car lagging behind and all the way down to the finish line stripe. The quickest of these cars goes to Brittany Forrest, 378.7 and 333. A 3.902 for Schumacher, a 3.902 for Salinas, and Torrence spun the tires.
Look, we've been talking about plenty of drivers, Sean Langdon, that are on the top, but, you know, Brittany Forrest is not going to take much for her to enter the mix, just like Clay Milliken, just like the return of Doug Coletta, who's still currently sitting in that #1 position.
We watch again in super slow motion action. Lanes 1, there's Schumacher and Jasmine both with only 7 cylinders. Brittany Forrest moves herself, or I should say maintains her in the #5 spot, which would place her next to Sean Langdon if nothing changes. But again, Langdon will be as part of this last squad that begins with Antron Brown. Antron Brown is looking to reverse course a bit on the season, just try to put a little bit more strength and momentum into the team's sails on race day. For Doug Coletta, a nice Mission 2 Fast, 2 Tasty win would certainly do wonders for his team, which hasn't really struggled. They've been consistent, but just not quick enough. And this guy, an absolute dominating force so far over the first 3 full races of the Top Fuel season. And the wild card in this one, Tony Stewart, a man who is trying to win this quad. And ironically, the only guy without a championship in this sport, in this quad, is him. He has won in every other form of motorsports he's been in. Undoubtedly, there will be wins coming here, but he is among some big names. Doug Coletta lane 1, Stewart lane 2, Brown lane 3, Sean Langdon lane 4. What's your pick?
Well, Doug is the strongest coming into this heat race here. You can't ignore Antron Brown, last year's winner. You know, Sean Langdon, he's gotten his way to some of these finals with the break or two. You cannot deny the success, the consistency, the performance. But, you know, right now, Doug is looking awful racy in that number 1 lane.
All 4 cars leave well. Tire smoke in lane 1. They go to the end of the racetrack. And the win is Antron Brown's 379.2 at 330 miles an hour. A 70 light outrunning the 379.8 and 382.6 of both Langdon and Stewart.
Well, he's picking up the pace just at the right time. It was Sean Langdon that was the quickest of the 3 to 330 feet, but his car started to fall off, but very consistent off the starting line. Good incremental numbers. Tony Stewart was in the race. It looked like all 3 cars, the initial 300 feet, were going to be pretty close. You can see Doug Coletta in that number 1 lane, the first to lose traction. Looks like Tony Stewart's car just started to slow down, started to misfire some cylinders. Then it became a race between Antron and Sean Langdon, and that was Antron edging out that number 4 lane with Sean Langdon in it.
So a tight finish here, but Antron Brown has picked up the money and the 3 post-countdown points. Doug Coletta, Langdon, and Torrance, the 2 teammates of Steve Torrance in round 1. Then it will be Billy Torrance, Salinas, Force, and Hart in that quad. Schumacher, oh boy. Schumacher and Ashley again in round 1.
Well, we called that one. Don't go too far. That's going to be a big one.
And Milligan, Baldwin, Brown, and Stewart. Those are the quads for the first round of Top Fuel Eliminator on Sunday. When we come back, we'll continue on with the Nitro Fun here in Las Vegas. It's funny car time to finish qualifying and to run for the money. Both Dan Wilkerson and Blake Alexander have a shot for glory and points when we return.
Saturday on Fox.
This kid is unreal!
New head coach Sharon Moore takes over the Wolverines as a new era begins in Ann Arbor.
Beautiful throw.
The Maize and Blue Game, Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox.
If you have federal student loans, you're making payments again. It's hard saying goodbye to that much money every month. But by refinancing to a lower rate through Credible.com, you could reduce your monthly payments. Visit Credible.com and see what you could save on your federal student loans. Credible.com.
This homestyle chicken salad wrap from Subway, this is how you do it. Savory chicken, crisp veggies, all wrapped up.
These wraps are amazing.
People can hear my thoughts. That's a problem. Stay fresh out there with all new wraps from Subway.
Tonight, your body clock is 3 time zones ahead. So you're up early. Hey, at least you get first crack and fresh waffles.
Bon appetit.
Oh, I will.
What? Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine.
Everything starts with a spark. E3 with Diamond Fire technology is an inferno waiting to wake up your engine. A faster flame front for 2 cylinders to 12. Don't just start your engine, ignite it. E3, what are you running?
Americans turn to RVing in record numbers as they pursue the spirit of freedom and travel exploration.
Life is more than what we've been told it's supposed to be.
The RV community is stronger than ever as family and friends seek quality time together.
To be free, this American dream.
Camping World has been a part of the American dream since 1966. Shop over 6,000 RVs for less than $200 a month, only at Camping World.
We're Ram, and when trucks are what you do Truck Month better than anyone else. You do trucks that work harder and play harder. And you do trucks that win by breaking every rule of what a truck should be. So this Truck Month, what you should do is drive a Ram. Trucks are what we do.
During Ram Truck Month, get new rollback manufacturer's pricing with lower starting NSRPs plus $1,000 bonus cash on 2024 Ram heavy-duty trucks.
Some have a drive to seek the outer limits, to ride the edge, testing themselves against the odds and the competition. To put life on the line, to go 330 miles per hour while pushing 11,000 horsepower for more. Some may call them rebels. We call them NHRA drag racers. Get your tickets to the fastest motorsport in the world today. Meet us in Charlotte April 26th through 28th, Chicago May 17th through 19th, and Epping May 31st through June 2nd. Buy your tickets early at nhra.com.
Diamonds form under pressure and time. That's why we make our spark plugs with Diamond Fire technology. Faster flame front, more power, better fuel efficiency. That's performance under pressure. E3, what are you running?
Welcome back to the 4-Wide Nationals here in Las Vegas. As brand ambassador for Mission Foods, Angel Sampé puts a medallion around Antron Brown's neck. Antron Brown, you won this race last year. Now you've got the first step of it, I guess, so to speak, that Mission Foods trophy. What do we have to do to turn this into a gold man tomorrow?
Hey, we just got to keep working right there. We wanted to run a little bit better, not shoot ourselves in the foot. And, hey, it got off. I thought it was going to be a little bit better on the tree. We were dead even with Sean. And something happened to him, fizzled out. But we got the win from Matco Tools, Lucas Oil, Hanksford, FEP, Toyota, Sirius XM, all of our great partners that make this happen, Summit Racing. You know, Mission, thank you for putting it on. And I guess our tortilla chips fell in the right place. So we got a little bit lucky. Got to be there to get lucky. And we're feeling good. Brian Karate, all these guys, and Mark Oswald, Brad Mason, they've been working hard, man. And we just got to keep getting better. We got progress going, and we're going to get after it tomorrow.
So qualifying session 4, John Force is the big highlight here. People have been looking for the font of youth since the 16th century. They were looking for something made of water. They should have looked for a fuel tank and a nitro funny car, because this guy, as experienced as he is, just went 3.908 to number 2. So now let's talk about our Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty final in funny car. Blake Alexander, the Pronto Auto Service Center head contractor's car, a machine that has seen its fair share of rounds this year. Paul Lee seeking redemption for the bad taste in his mouth left in Phoenix. Austin Prock, who is the current #1 qualifier, almost bumped off by his own teammate John Force. And finally, pumped up Dan Wilkerson, who was quite literally bouncing when he got out of his car after making his way to the final. Lane 1, Paul Lee, Blake Alexander 2, Wilkerson 3, and Austin Prock 4. The man who is JV and initials only, Jordan Vandergriff. What do you got on Paul Lee?
Talked to Paul Lee, and he said the car is making progress, and a good run here would be huge for team progress. When I asked him about the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge, he said he would count a win here as the team's first win.
He's against some of the best competition that you can see in this sport, so I would agree with his assessment there. Let's see what happens here. The Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Funny Car 5. Blake Alexander trying to make a run at it, but it does appear that it will be. We should have expected it the whole way along. Austin Prock, 391.5 at 326, rampaging again. Lee wasn't too far behind at 393.
When you size up the competition, you know that you can run with Austin Prock if you're Dan Wilkerson, if you're Paulie. The question is, can you get off the starting line with them? They were a couple hundred of a second off the mark, second Austin Prock, and that you really never look back.
A ride in the corner while quality tools on board, a little bit of saw to the steering wheel, a slap of the parachute handle, and another accolade for a team that is stacking them up this year. Now we're going to take a look at our Lucas Oil competition ladder presented by our friends at Lucas. We got our 16 cars right here qualified. You can see Austin Prox in that first quad in the upper left. On the upper right, John Force on that side. They could make their way to the final and oppose each other. It is going to be a great day of funny car drag racing on Sunday. Let's go to Bruno Massa with Austin Prock, who swept Saturday.
And here comes the medallion from Angel Sampé, the brand ambassador for Mission Foods, as Austin Prock finishes the day holding the trophy here for Mission Foods. What's it like to get that win on qualifying day?
It's awesome. I love, having a chance to race on Saturday and earning these crew guys some cash, man. They just work so hard and they're doing such a great job. Thank you, Mission Foods, for all you do for the NHRA. We really appreciate it.
We've got a hat change for you because you are the #1 qualifier, rocking the yellow hat as we go into race day tomorrow. Conditions going to be better than we saw all weekend. What can we expect from your team?
I think you're going to see some really good runs. You'll probably see low ET of the weekend first round from one of these cars. But to be 1-2 with my boss, John Force, we got some bad hot rods here at John Force Racing right now, and we're having a blast.
And the Pro Stockers are also having a blast jamming gears here in Las Vegas. And when we return, the Pro Stocks hit the racetrack for qualifying and mission fun.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system. Pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
I have moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Now there's Skyrizi.
Things are looking up. I've got symptom relief. Control of my Crohn's means everything to me. Control is everything to me.
Feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks with Skyrizi, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements. Skyrizi is the first IL-23 inhibitor that can deliver remission and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. And the majority of people experienced long-lasting remission at 1 year.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to. Liver problems may occur in Crohn's disease.
Now's the time to ask your gastroenterologist how you can take control of your Crohn's with Skyrizi.
Control is everything to me.
Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Inez, let me ask you. You're using Head & Shoulders, right?
Only when I see flakes. Then I switch back to my regular shampoo.
You should use it every wash. Otherwise, the flakes will come back.
He's right, you know.
Is that Tiny Troy?
The ingredients in Head & Shoulders keep the microbes that cause flakes that big.
Microbes, really?
They're always on your scalp, little rascals. But good news, there's no itchiness, dryness, or flakes down here.
I love Tiny Troy and his tiny, gorgeous hair.
He's the best.
Make every wash count. Little help, please?
Give me that ooey gooey, crispy, crunchy, mouth watering. Give me that creamy, dreamy, meaty, topping, pepperoni popping. Give me that crispy, Kobe, only Papa John's. Better get you some. Try the trio before it's gone.
Man, we can't buy a bucket. You know what you do? Your team can't buy a bucket. You gonna say buy a bucket of Corona, huh? No.
Your bucket, Mr. Manning?
Oh, who ordered these? You think you slick. You not slick. I got you this lever right here. Yeah.
The NHRA 4-Wide Nationals is sponsored by Mission Foods. Make today delicious with Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty. And by Denso. The best part is peace of mind. So Greg Anderson, of course, who won the Arizona Nationals about 6 days ago from this point, may not have gone to the #1 position in the final qualifying session, but he did make the best run. As we look at the HendrickCars.com Chevrolet, Anderson did lead the field 6:62.5, but now it's time to talk Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty. And here we are, the finals in Pro Stock of the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Jake Coughlin Jr. comes in, a very strong runner. He's the #2 qualifier right now. Troy comes in, sitting in the 9th spot. He will try to do what he has done many times in his career, leave first and win on a hole shot. And for Dallas Glenn, this is a continuation of that big rocket power momentum he built up in Phoenix. And for Aaron Stanfield, another nice notch in his belt here if he can get a Too Fast, Too Tasty win and the additional points along with the money that come with it here this afternoon.
Everybody's pre-staged. See who goes in first.
All four are clean off the starting line. All four are going to charge their way to the stripe. Coughlin looks pretty good here, and as they get all the way down to the finish line, the winner will be Jake Coughlin. 6:62.8. Outruns a 6:64.7 handily.
Oh, he did it with performance. Everybody was pretty good, pretty sharp off the starting line, but it was Jake Coughlin Jr. in that #1 lane that just had the better performance in 60 feet at the 8th mile and at the finish line.
That was a very well-run race by Coughlin. He can now add a Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge win to his numerous career accolades.
Yeah, it was Troy Jr. right next to him. That was about 100th of a second quicker at 300 feet and was quicker off the starting line, but it was driving around his nephew. It was Jake Sr.
As Angel Sampey puts the medallion around Jeg Coughlin's neck, the winner of the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Jeg, this is your first one. Probably the only box you haven't checked off, and now you've got that under wraps. What is it like to come out and race here, and during qualifying and beat your nephew?
It feels great, honestly. To be competitive, during qualifying is a new thing for us. Obviously, thanks to Mission for all the work they put together, not only for the Too Fast, Too Tasty, but obviously for the NHRA series. So, it feels great to get get a win here on Saturday without question. You know, I think we ended up number 2 or 3 in the field. I didn't hear where that ended up after this session, but I'm ready for tomorrow, so let's go.
And tomorrow we'll bring the competition of Sunday, which you'll watch tonight at 7 p.m. You can see it. It will be Chris McGahey, Jerry Don Tucker, Dallas Glenn, and Troy Kaufman Jr. Where is Jeg? Jeg will find himself with Kenny Delco, with David Quadra, and with Derek Kramer, Anderson, Wildgust, Enders, and Stanfield. But let's talk the number 1 qualifier, Jerry Don Tucker.
Former top sportsman racer turned pro stock racer Jerry Don Tucker gets to don that yellow hat for the first time in your career. Number 1 qualifier. What does that feel like to be one step ahead of the competition right now?
Hey, it feels good. They've been working real hard. We got the champs car from last year, and we've been making it look bad, but we finally got out of our own way, and it went down the track.
A concise racer indeed. Tucker will be coming in with the best car he's ever driven in pro stock to Sunday eliminations. It is going to be a great day of eliminations, and you will be able to see it tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on FS1. The first of 2 visits we'll make to this facility. This one a little bit more lighthearted than when we come back in the fall, and it's the second to last race of the year. On behalf of Jordan Vandergriff and Bruno Massel, especially Tony Pedregon, I'm Brian Loans, and we'll see you at 7 p.m. tonight for the elimination rounds of the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals from the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
There has never been a more star-studded field in PBA doubles history than today, where the bracket for a unique, once-a-season event is packed with former title-winning teams, including 2-time doubles champs Kyle Troup and Jesper Svensson, 2018 winners Jason Belmonte and Bill O'Neill, and